I'm Ian Smith, the managing partner of Transition Advisory Partners, and this is a weekly post that I put out for business owners and their advisors to talk about transition issues that business owners face as they plan for a change of ownership or their retirement, whatever it may be, and to hopefully allow other entrepreneurs to share ideas and post their thoughts on various matters that can really affect value, transaction terms, etc. And by doing so, I hope this will help reduce the stress that entrepreneurs face when they go to transition their business. So if you're new to the channel, click connect or connect with me on LinkedIn. But more importantly, leave a comment with your thoughts when you finish watching the video. So today I wanted to talk about my 5 top reasons why transactions fail once they've actually gone to market. So there's lots of videos and other things that I've posted about why, how to prepare for the transaction and things to do right beforehand. But these are the reasons that I've seen more often than not for why transactions fail after a process has been started, where you've actually gone to market. So number 1 is not being prepared, and this is for the company. So what I mean by that is you're not having financial statements that are fulsome or that they're even accurate. We've had lots of cases where the financial statements are a compiled statements notice to reader, and they may not have the rigor that goes into a more involved review or audit of those statements. And so when it comes to due diligence, the numbers fall apart. Not having contracts with your key employees, not having contracts with key suppliers or customers, etc. Not having an up-to-date minute book, shareholder resolutions, and things like that are really important to getting a deal done. So that's number 1, is the company is not really prepared or ready for the due diligence process, which has become pretty onerous over the years. Nowadays it's much more onerous than it was 20, 25 years ago. The second reason is the business owner, he or she, is not prepared. And I quite often use the comparison of IQ versus EQ. IQ meaning intellectually they know they are ready to sell or they need to sell because of certain conditions, their age, the lack of a viable transition plan with family or management, health reasons, etc. But emotionally, the EQ side of things is that they're just not ready to give up the reins of the business. The business is so much part of their persona, so much part of their life. It's very, very difficult for them to give up control. And quite often that's because they don't see what their future purpose is going to be, what their future life is going to look like after they sell the business. So it's very important that they have clarity on both the intellectual side and the emotional side if they're going to get a deal done in a timely way. The third reason that transactions fail once they've gone to market is something happens in the marketplace. That could be losing a key customer. It could be higher interest rates. A couple of years ago we saw interest rates go up 5-6 times in a year. Well, businesses that were impacted by that were already in the marketplace, a number of them saw delays or cancellation of those transactions. Global pandemics, of course, that had a major impact on transactions back in 2020, 2021, because people were very uncertain. Buyers and sellers were both very uncertain about where their businesses were going to be going, how much businesses were going to be worth. So we saw a lot of buyers and sellers put things on hold at the start or the first year or so of the global pandemic. The next reason, the fourth reason, is a mismatch of expectations. And as an advisor, we always try to avoid that by doing our homework up front, working with the business owner to understand the value drivers, understand where the value may lie in a transaction. And we tend to be conservative in our estimates and then hope that we over-deliver when the time comes to actually get through a transaction. I'm not a big fan of over-promising and under-delivering, giving a business owner a very high expectation of value without much evidence to support such evaluation. But what happens is if you have a mismatch of the expectations, it tends to frustrate the process quite dramatically. And so it's very important for business owners to understand and maybe even have a professional valuation done before a transaction in order to understand what is going to drive value and what is going to detract from value. The fifth reason I've seen over the years for reasons that deals fail once they've gone to market is bad negotiations, bad faith negotiations in some ways. And I think we like to talk about, or people like to talk about, those private equity investors that came in and they offered a big high valuation and then they clawed it back. And yes, there's probably a few of those out there. And but if you're a serial acquirer, you don't want to build a reputation as being somebody that's going to retrade on price and terms of a transaction, because word will spread amongst the investment banking community pretty quickly. So, there are cases where things happen in the market, and not just private equity, family office investors or individual investors want or need to reprice because of things that have happened. But what I also see is the business owners themselves kind of fall in love with their business again as they go through a process. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is they're ready to sell. They've made that emotional leap and the mental leap that they're going to be selling the business. They can be tired or they're just worn out from the business, etc. But then you get into a process and everybody's showing you the love and telling you what a great business you've got and telling you about all these great things that you could do with the business going forward and how they plan to grow the business. And all of a sudden, the business owner gets more excited about the business and their expectations start to creep up. And so they start to kind of negotiate a little harder on points that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise fought for in the past. So those are my top 5, but I wanted to give you one more bonus point, and I've made another video on this in the past, but that is the legal support that gets the transaction over the finish line. We can negotiate and work with our business owner clients and the buyer to bridge various expectation gaps and whatnot. But if we don't have solid M&A legal support on our client side, quite often we find that the lawyers that are engaged end up fighting over all sorts of minor points that really are immaterial to getting a deal done, but maybe aren't even necessarily what we would say at market type terms, because they're not familiar with what the market should provide for terms. So we want to make sure that our clients have proper legal support on the M&A side, and their existing lawyer can still do a lot of the other support work for the transaction, helping get all the contracts in place, helping prepare minute books and resolutions and whatnot. It's not as sexy perhaps as the M&A side for the legal work, but if you want to get a deal done and you don't want to have it fail after you've gone to market, you better have proper M&A support. So those are my 5 now plus 1 reasons why deals fail when they go to after they've gone to market. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on those 6 points, but also if you have other points that you've seen in the marketplace, please leave a comment below. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week.